If you want to take your rotoscoping to the next level, don't miss a second of this video. Alright, in this tutorial you'll learn how to use the Rotobrush 2.0 and After Effects 2023 to rotoscope and superimpose your shot using some different effects and techniques to blend it into your scene flawlessly. Alright, so here we are, we have our clip with a girl on her phone with dreadlocks, nice background. What we're going to do is we're going to rotoscope her out, but the challenge will be maintaining most of the detail in her hair. So as you can see, you see all the hair and the fine edges that she has there. So I'm going to grab my Rotobrush, or I'll hit Option W, and then I'll hit Command on my left or right arrow to make my brush larger or smaller. So I'll make it large, and I'm just going to grab the whole subject here, and I'll make my brush smaller, and I'll grab these dreadlocks that are kind of separated by the background. Then I'll just make sure I grab every part of her. Some of the extra details here I'll have to tackle later. So now I'll switch to Option W, and I'll grab my Refine Edge tool, and I'll make the brush large. And I'll grab all these little stray hairs on the edge here. And I'm going to use this for most of my edges if you want somewhat of a feathered edge. Otherwise, it doesn't really blend that well. So I'll just grab most of these edges here. So I'll just grab most of these. And I'll just make sure that it's nice and smooth without a hard edge. I'm basically grabbing all of my edges of my subject, either in focus or out of focus. And if you could see here, see the edge here, it's super harsh. So that's not gonna make for a good composite. So basically anything that's somewhat soft in your frame, you wanna make sure you use the Refine Edge tool because it will feather it and it'll make it much more natural to blend into your scene. So just gonna finish this up. And then once I'm all set with my edges here, I'm gonna toggle my alpha boundary, which is this little pink outline, so I could see my edges. And in my effect controls, I could adjust the shift edge, and I could see my refine edge. I'm gonna go as far as I can just so I can maintain all the detail. And you could use smoothing, you could fine tune this just enough so it looks more natural in your scene. And as you can see, she has a blue outline from the sky, but we're gonna take care of that. I'll switch back to my Rotobrush and hold the Option key and remove some of this background here. And then back to my Refine Edge, and I'll just tweak the edges here as well, just to remove some of the sky here. All right, so this is a good starting point. I'll play it out and render it out. And once it's rendered, I'm gonna hit the freeze button, and then it's gonna freeze all the frames. And then once that's done, I'm gonna jump back into my composition, and I'm actually gonna add the key light effect to tackle my sky around my edges. So I'll key out the blue color that's surrounding her. I'll bring my clip white down a little bit, bring my screen softness up, tweak my screen shrink grow, extend it so I could see more of the hairs. And you can see the before and after here, it's looking pretty good. All right, so now let's jump in and let's composite it. But before we do, if you're enjoying this video, hit that like button so we can spread to more post-production people like you. All right, so I got my background laid in, and this is the background that I want to superimpose her in. So I want to transition to this background. So I'm going to duplicate my footage. I got my Roto layer and my clean plate layer. So I'll keyframe my opacity on my clean plate layer so that my clean plate layer fades out and reveals the new layer, something like that. Let's take it one step further and let's make an edge blur. So I'll duplicate my background. I'll duplicate my Roto layer, and then I'll pre-compose them together. I'll name this edge blur, then I'll dive into that comp. Okay, so my bottom layer here, I'm just going to pre-compose it to make it a little cleaner. And then I'm gonna add this simple choker effect on my Roto layer. Just extend that out a bit. Then I'll use the invert alpha effect and bring that onto my same layer here. And you could see it inverts it, so you could just see the edges. Now we'll create a track matte. My edge is now my background layer. So from here, I could tweak the choke, extend that out a bit. I could add a Gaussian blur to it to make it much more feathery and smooth. Then if I jump back into my composition, you could see the before and after. You could see it creates a really nice edge, blending our subject in with the background and making it much more believable. One quick thing we gotta tweak is when we added our simple choker, it choked basically some of the bottom here, so we just have to mask that out. And then we'll invert our mask to get rid of that. So there's our composite, looking pretty good. You could also change the opacity to lessen the effect a little bit depending on your background. And then to take it another step further, I'll add my Lumetri color effect to my subject roto layer. I'm gonna go to the drop down in the creative panel and I'm gonna adjust my shadow tint to almost like a magenta. And then I'm gonna adjust my highlight tint to this orange yellow color. I'll boost up the vibrance. And you see the before and after here. And I'm actually gonna keyframe these effects in. So I'll make a keyframe for vibrance and then one for split toning. And then I'll jump back and then I'll take this to 0. And for split toning, all I have to do is right click and hit reset and then it goes back to 0 and creates a keyframe. So I'll just easy ease this effect and then it gradually comes in as the background comes into frame and then creating that nice color cast on her that makes it even more believable. So there you have it, guys. That's how to use the Rotobrush 2 in After Effects 2023 to rotoscope and superimpose your shot after rotoscoping. These fine little tweaks and adjustments are what makes a good composite great. Hope this video helps your videos in the future. Thanks for watching. See you guys next time.